Hello everybody, happy Saturday. We're going to be talking about the differences between the Vandal and the Phantom. The Phantom has been changed. The Phantom has been upgraded. The Phantom has been buffed. There's a lot of things that have been happening slowly throughout the patches that have made the Phantom a powerhouse. And if you haven't had a chance to play as of late, the Phantom is starting to feel like a must pick when it comes to weapons. Now, we're going to be talking a little bit about the differences between the two and exactly what ended up happening, and along of a myriad of other things that you need to know when you're deciding to pick a weapon. If you're someone that's starting to get into the game, I suggest that you start picking up the Phantom now. I said it seems as though it is going to be staying like this for a little while. So let's get started. We're going to be talking about just slightly some of the things that was happening before and you know, kind of the state of the game previously to the patch that was 9.10, and then we're going to talk about the changes that made the Phantom better, and then last but not least, I'll give you the verdict. If you just want to skip to that, feel free to do so, but I'm pretty sure you're going to already know the answer based on everything that I'm going to be talking about. As always, I have to talk a little bit about the one-on-one program. Again, just a quick thing that I have to mention. Essentially, you get 2 sessions for a 1-month subscription, and essentially we just talk throughout the entire thing. So even though you may have only 2 sessions, you talk to me throughout the entire month and you can get help offside. So this is something that a lot of players tend to use pretty well. They send me clips, they send me plays, they send me things in their playbook that they want to really talk about, and I can dissect them for them and help them out. And as you can see, a lot of players see a lot of success depending on the effort that they put in. Of course, some people can't play every single day. So obviously your mileage may vary, but I do see success in a lot of increases within 3 weeks. So if you're interested in that, feel free to join the Discord and find out more. As for anybody that's here for the class, let's get started. So the Vandal was the obvious choice back then. If you didn't come in before 9.10, essentially the Vandal was just a clear choice. There was no reason for you to pick the Phantom due to the fact that previously the Phantom had different damage drop-off values. Before, there was a damage drop-off value at 15, and then another one at 30, and then 30 plus. So what happens is once you reach that 15 meters, there's going to be an entirely new damage value. And then once you reach 30 meters, there's an entirely new damage value. What ended up happening is, unless you were playing up close, and I mean up close, like you were fighting people at 10 meters, you were not going to see any success in using the Phantom. There was no reason for you to pick a gun that was just going to get outclassed by a weapon that could just tap you in the head. And what ended up happening is, as people improved from the beginning of the game onwards, the Phantom started to see less usage across pro play and even ranked, just due to the fact that the Vandal was just a clear pick due to just being more consistent in headshot values. When it came to now, however, we're going to see that there was a huge difference in the game state. There were less walls, like deadlock wasn't a thing, ISO wasn't a thing, the neons that were sprinting around your game weren't a thing. So tagging felt a little less important, and hitting the headshot did. So there were some things that were different back then. So back then, before this patch, the Vandal was a clear and obvious choice if you were going to pick any weapon. Now, if you were someone that was a diehard for the Phantom, don't worry, there are some things that we do need to talk about. As you can see, with the new changes that we're seeing now, the Phantom users do get a little bit of a payoff now. There's a couple of things that have changed across the board in the game, and that is including the shields with the ISO and whatnot, but there are some things that we have to get some clear cut. The damage values of the Vandal have not changed. It is the most consistent weapon across the board. Of course, if there's a shield, it doesn't matter. It'll still have the same damage value, assuming you're only hitting body shots in any range. So unless you're fighting someone with 100 HP, you're really going to be seeing the same values across the board. Of course, headshot always kills. When it comes to the Phantom now, however, you're going to see that the differences are night and day. Of course, if you're playing a long-range fight with someone that's using, for example, the Phantom, you're still going to see slightly slower times when it comes to time to kill. However, as we progress inward, you're going to see that the second that they have 125 HP, or that is they're using half shield, we're already seeing a faster value, despite the fact that it is at longer ranges. So even though, and I mean even though the weapon is worse at longer range fights, assuming you only hit body shots against a target with 125, which is against ecos, which is against people that don't have enough, so you can just press tab, look at their money, do they have enough, do they have 3,900 credits, right? If they don't have that, you can just spray their body and you will be faster than spraying with the Vandal. That is just assuming you're only shooting body shots, right? And this is where we're going to be keeping the discussion, because if it's only headshots and you can tap headshots, then maybe the Vandal is for you. So with all of these things across the board, we can see that the Phantom has just become supremely a better choice for the average player. And this is what I mean when I'm talking about not talking about headshots. If you're someone that aims for a 50% headshot accuracy in your games, you're probably not going to see yourself improving with the Phantom. I saw that myself. Not saying that I have a 50% headshot, but I'm saying that I like to aim for the head a lot more. And I see myself getting way more kills just using the Vandal over the Phantom. I don't see myself spraying as much. I don't see myself doing anything other than just tapping. So I see myself using the Vandal a lot more. But I see players that have improved immensely just from the fact that they're able to spray, tag, fight through shields, break walls, and all the other stuff that's happening right now. And they're seeing a huge benefit just from doing chip damage alone from doing those body shots, as they might even be able to guarantee kills way faster than the Vandal. So when it comes to the consistency of the two, this damage change is what's making the Phantom a better choice already. This, alongside the fact that shield meta has changed dramatically, we've been seeing a lot of half shielders, and now we're seeing the new shield included. There is no reason why you shouldn't switch to the Phantom. So what happens here? So I've been trying it a lot more, and in my opinion, there are some benefits to it. So I like to play a lot of entry. I like to play a lot of entry characters. And I noticed that I started to see a lot more of the consistencies within the Phantom when it came to being more aggressive. If you're someone that likes to play more aggressive, you like to play against multiple opponents, the Phantom is not going to hold you back. It has a faster recoil reset, so if you're someone that likes to spray a little more, and I mean 5 bullets plus, you're going to see a massive benefit in being able to constantly tap opponents. If you're someone that likes to take your time, probably not the gun for you. So when it comes to the debate of movement and dealing with multiple targets and moving around and entering, you're going to see the Phantom feeling a lot better. This is just an example of me playing a ranked game. We had a huge disadvantage in terms of comp, but we just played aggressively. I picked up the Phantom and I just went in, and it just ended up being a lot more successful. The game was kind of close, but we ended up just clutching it through just through the usage of more aggressive means. And this is where the Phantom really shines. So if you're someone that really likes to play something aggressive and you like to be in front of the enemy's face, then this is the gun for you, as you're always going to be able to fight multiple opponents. You have more bullets, and there's just so much more that you can do with it. And even the new movement inaccuracy that's been added, the movement, I will say nerf that's been added, you're not going to see it as much due to the faster fire rate that allows you to feel as though there's a better reset. So that's something that should be considered when you're switching to the gun, making it a better choice overall. So what about other things that you might have to talk about? Well, again, I believe that the Vandal is getting dethroned. There's just no reason to pick it in the current meta that we're at. Again, we talked about half shield, we talked about other things, but what about the new additions to the game? And this is what I was mentioning at the beginning of the class. Things started to trickle in over time that just made the gun feel a lot more consistent. And the first thing that was added was the change of the ammunition behind each individual gun. So for example, the two guns that we have now have changed their ammo reserves. So before, the Phantom had 90 and now has 60. But if you compare between the two of them, like values of the ammo reserves, you just have more bullets behind the Phantom. Include that with things such as the deadlock wall that you're starting to see in higher elos, the sage wall that has stayed a staple in metal ranks, things like, for example, ISO and Neon, which are very either aggressive characters or they have something that requires an extra bullet, right? Something that you might need to sort of like deal with these targets. You're going to see a better improvement overall when you're picking something like the Phantom, because you have more bullets. Double controller is now a thing, right? Like double controller you might see a bunch of, and it's been something that's been not resurfacing, but you've seen a lot of in pro play. You're going to be able to spray a lot more. There's no tracers, right? So unless you are a die-hard Vandal user or you like to go for those headshots only, when you are paying close attention and you're actually trying to just go for shots, most of the time you won't even have to worry more often than not about hitting that headshot, because you're just going to have a better gun overall. But I wouldn't be too concerned. For anybody that still likes the Vandal, I still think that you still have a place in the meta. One thing that you kind of have to consider is that there are some map-specific areas where the Vandal is supreme. So for example, Pearl B-Site, it's just a better gun overall. There's no reason for you to ADS with something like the Phantom. You're just screwing yourself over, but the Vandal just feels better. The Vandal has something where you have a better accuracy reset when you tap with it, as opposed to doing that with the Phantom. So if you're someone that likes to tap, don't use the Phantom. It's going to screw you over. And this is why you want to ensure that you're always paying attention to what you're doing specifically with the gun. And this is why range matters. For example, a lot of the main angles on Haven, for example, B, when you're fighting the window, when you're fighting on the top of the little platform area, when you're fighting C, when you're fighting A main, right, A long, all of these angles are a slightly longer than that you might need a Phantom for. Ascent mids, for example, in this position, if you wanted to approach this angle, you're going to have a range that's over 20 meters. You might actually benefit from having something like the Vandal, right? So if you're someone that likes to hit consistent headshots, or you're someone that likes to play these longer angles, you're going to see yourself still hold a place in the meta. But if you're someone that likes to play, like I mentioned, more aggressive, you like to be in multiple scenarios where you have to be in their phase, or you're dealing with multiple opponents, or considering all the other things that I've talked about in the past, including, but again, not limited to, things like walls and spraying, and just having a lot more things to do with the tracers, right? Not dealing with potentially getting sprayed back when you're spraying a smoke. All of these things add up. And this is why, in my opinion, the Vandal has been dethroned. The Phantom is just better. It's just objectively a better gun. There's no reason to not use it as it is, right? Like if you're someone that likes to play, the average player will probably just benefit from this gun overall. But if you're someone that is just used to the Vandal, I don't think you're going to be held back by not using it. But I do encourage you to try it. I do encourage you to go ahead and try it in death matches and give it a try in your games. You might actually see something, fly through it. There is just a lot of changes that are happening right now that are trying to change the game and keep it fresh, and I think this is one of them. So go ahead and try the Phantom tonight if you have a chance, and go ahead and just try to see if it's for you. So with that out of the way, that concludes basically what I was going to do today. After playing enough times with both of the guns, I do believe that the Phantom is just a better gun. Not only do the values support it, but so do the changes of the game. And at the same time, so do the maps that are currently in rotation as well. Plenty of close range scenarios where the Phantom is just going to be strictly a better gun. All right, with that out of the way, let's close this off here. And let's start the question period. Thank you guys for watching. Phantom is just going to be strictly a better gun. All right, with that out of the way, let's close this off here. And let's start the question period. Thank you guys for watching.